Let's get started. Start with listening, and then learn new words and practice them in sentences.
Have you ever wondered how much of a conversation is actually unspoken? Welcome to the fascinating world of implicit meaning, or as it's more commonly known, subtext. It's the hidden layer of conversation, the silent melody playing beneath spoken words. It's the wink and the nudge, the raised eyebrow, the knowing smile. Subtext is the unspoken dialogue that deepens our understanding, shapes our interactions, and makes communication far more intriguing. So, why is implicit meaning so crucial in English? Well, think of language as an iceberg. What we say out loud, the words we choose, they're just the tip of the iceberg. But beneath the surface, there's a vast expanse of meaning, rich and complex. This is where subtext resides, adding depth, nuance, and color to our words. It's like the secret sauce that makes English so flavorful and dynamic. Now, how do we convey subtext? Three major players come into play here: cultural context, idiomatic expressions, and indirect speech. Cultural context is like a compass. It guides our understanding of what's appropriate, what's humorous, and what's offensive. It's the backdrop against which all communication happens. Idiomatic expressions, on the other hand, are the spice of English. Phrases like kick the bucket or bite the bullet may sound strange if taken literally, but they carry specific meanings steeped in culture and history. They're a shorthand way to convey complex ideas or emotions. And then there's indirect speech, the art of saying something without saying it. It's a polite sidestep, a gentle hint, a veiled critique. When someone says, well, that's one way to look at it, they're subtly signaling disagreement. Or when they comment, it's not ideal, they're softly criticizing. So whether it's a casual chat or a formal meeting, a love letter or a novel, understanding and using subtext can unlock a whole new level of communication. It's like learning to read between the lines, to hear the unspoken words, to sense the undercurrents. As you can see, what is not said can be just as important, if not more so, than what is expressed openly. Imagine you're at a party, mingling with guests. The music is playing softly in the background as laughter and chatter fill the air. You're engaged in a lively discussion about a recent movie. You express your opinion and someone responds with, well, that's one way to look at it. On the surface, it seems like they're acknowledging your viewpoint. However, what they're subtly conveying is disagreement. They don't necessarily see things the way you do. Then you move on to another group. The conversation shifts towards a new restaurant in town. You mention that you've been there and found the service lacking. Someone remarks, oh, it's not ideal, is it? This phrase is a soft criticism, an understated way of agreeing that the service was indeed disappointing. In English, these phrases carry a wealth of implicit meaning, a subtext that adds layers to the conversation. They're a masterful way of expressing disagreement or criticism without being overtly confrontational, maintaining the harmony of the social setting. But how do we detect this subtext? It's not just about the words used, but also about the tone in which they're delivered, the body language accompanying them, and the context in which they're said. A phrase like, it's not ideal, could be a mere observation in one context, but a sharp criticism in another. Tone and body language give us clues about the speaker's feelings: a raised eyebrow, a dismissive wave, a sarcastic inflection. All these nonverbal cues add to the subtext. They help us understand the implicit meaning behind the words, to read between the lines. Recognizing and interpreting these cues is an essential skill in understanding English at a sophisticated level. It allows us to engage fully in subtle exchanges, to grasp the nuances, the unspoken emotions and intentions, the humor and the irony. So the next time you're in a conversation, remember to listen not just to the words, but also to the silence between them. When reading a novel, have you ever felt a sense of underlying tension in the narrative? This sensation is often due to the presence of subtext, the unspoken or less obvious meaning or message in a piece of writing or conversation. Subtext is a crucial part of written English, from the pages of classic literature to the lines of an everyday email. Authors skillfully weave subtext into their works, using indirect speech, metaphors, and other literary devices to hint at deeper meanings. For instance, the phrase "she walked into the room like a summer storm" doesn't simply describe a woman's entrance. It hints at her disruptive, forceful personality and the changes she brings with her. This is the power of subtext. It can transform a simple sentence into a rich, layered description. Subtext isn't limited to literature. It's also prevalent in everyday written communication. Consider a work email stating, "I think we can find a more efficient approach to this project." On the surface, it's a suggestion for improvement. But the subtext, it's a polite criticism of the current method and a call for change. Understanding subtext not only enriches your reading experience, but also helps you grasp the full context of what's being communicated. It allows you to read between the lines, to perceive the iceberg beneath the tip. It's like having a secret key that unlocks a hidden layer of meaning. But it's not just about understanding subtext, it's also about employing it in your own communication. Using subtext can add depth to your writing, making it more engaging and compelling. It can help you convey criticism without sounding harsh, express sarcasm without sounding rude, or add a touch of humor to lighten the mood. In short, subtext is a tool that, when used effectively, can add a whole new dimension to your communication, making it more nuanced, persuasive, and impactful. So the next time you pick up a book or draft an email, pay attention to the subtext. Look for the subtle hints and indirect messages. Remember, every word in a piece of writing can be a hidden treasure trove of meaning. Have you ever watched a film or TV show and felt there was more to the story than what's shown on screen? This sensation, my friends, is the magic of subtext, a vital tool in the world of entertainment. Subtext is the undercurrent, the hidden message that gives depth to the characters and intricacies to the plot, making our favorite stories richer and more compelling. Take a moment to consider a film where characters say one thing but mean another. It's the subtext that allows us to delve deeper into their motivations, their fears, their desires. It's like a secret language that we, as the audience, get to decipher. Moreover, subtext isn't just confined to character development. It often carries broader social or political messages, subtly influencing our perceptions and opinions. Advertisements particularly are rife with subtext, influencing our buying decisions without us even realizing it. So the next time you're watching your favorite show, try to spot the subtext. You might be surprised at what you uncover. Now that we've explored the world of subtext, how can you use it to enhance your own communication? To effectively employ subtext, you need to be aware of the context and the relationship between the speakers. For instance, in a professional setting, a subtle hint of sarcasm can make a critique less direct and more palatable. In a personal conversation, an idiomatic expression can add a layer of warmth and familiarity. Subtext also gives you the power of persuasion. By suggesting rather than stating, you invite others to arrive at conclusions themselves, making the message more potent. Don't forget the joy of humor. A well-placed understatement or a witty implication can infuse a conversation with laughter and lightheartedness. The key is balance. Subtext is not about being vague or confusing. It's about adding depth and richness to your communication. Practice, experiment, and observe the reactions you get. Mastering the art of subtext can truly elevate your English communication skills to a new level of sophistication.
Let's learn new words and practice English at level C2. Subtext, the underlying or implicit meaning in communication. Example, in literature and conversation, the subtext often reveals more than the actual words spoken. Implicit, suggested or understood without being directly stated. Example, the speaker's implicit message was that changes needed to be made, even though they didn't say it outright. Inference, a conclusion reached based on evidence and reasoning. Example, understanding subtext requires making inferences about what isn't being said explicitly. Nuance, a subtle distinction or variation in meaning, tone, or expression. Example, detecting the nuances in someone's tone can help you grasp their true intentions. Ambiguity, the quality of being open to more than one interpretation. Example, subtext often contains ambiguity, leaving room for the listener to interpret the meaning differently.